Okay, traders, today is Thursday. It is February 21st, 2013, and it's midday, about 1 p.m. or almost 1 p.m. And we are going to look at these markets because we've had a nice little turnaround in the last 2 days, and we absolutely need to see what that means. As we know, futures trading can be extremely risky and cause substantial financial loss. Futures trading is certainly not suitable for all trading accounts. My name is Oscar Carboni, and I have been doing this for over 30 years, and I am decent at this analysis game and thought I'd share some of my views with you that I'm noticing here. So let's take this chart right here that we're looking at. Here's your NASDAQ daily bar chart. So every one of these green lines represents 1 day's worth of trading. You know, we started this chart off way back with this massive inverted head and shoulders, which is a very nice bullish signal. The market came down for one of my infamous head tests. It held, and boom, we exploded, and then have been in this big bull flag ever since. The bull flag's represented by these 2 days making the flagpole. And then you have the flag itself bouncing from top to bottom of this flag. And look, traders, we came out of it a little bit here today. But you got to be careful when you come out of a flag, because that's what happened here. And if you bought it here, you got caught with your pants down. Our stops got hit yesterday, right? We did buy it here. We bought the breakout. It did not work. Luckily, we had stops in. We only took a little bit of an elevator ride and jumped out. But that didn't work yesterday, so now we're here to look at why. But the same situation exists here now. Right? You just came down out of the channel a little bit. So it didn't work up here. It probably won't work down here, but let's take a better look. If we examine this channel a little, or this flag a little more closely, we can actually pull it to here, because here's the lowest low of the flag right here this day. So here's the lowest low of the flag, and if you just simply take the flag and put it to the lowest low, we're still inside the flag. And now if you put it to the highest high, voila. Channel expands a little, but let's not do that. Let's leave it the way it was. All right, we're about here, and we're up here. So if that's the meat of the flag, and it truly is, maybe, just maybe, what we're about to witness is this, the gap fill. Maybe, just maybe, the NASDAQ has put in quite a rally and wants to come fill this gap. The gap is here. We all know it exists, right? So we know that there is a gap here. And maybe, just maybe, that's now going to get filled. But remember, it's been a big bull market. It's in a bull flag. It's only tipped its hat. I mean, it's just popped out of it a little bit like it did here, and that didn't work. So let's not get crazy and think that it's the beginning of a bear market when that's not really the case. Let's take this out to a weekly. Always think of the larger picture here. Traders, let's look at the weekly. Look at this parallel channel, or forget the parallel channel. Look at this support line. Look at how often you've held. You know, bang, hit the support, nice rally. Again, you hit the support, nice rally. We hit the support again here and started a nice rally. But we are now in a uptrend parallel channel, and the bull flag is sitting right inside of that parallel channel. See the bull flag? That's on a weekly. That's bullish. That is not bearish. That is telling us do not lose focus of what's going on here. Maybe it comes down to here and then continues. That would be enough to fill the gap. Interesting, right? So that would be enough to fill the gap. And at worst, even if you came down here, look at all the times you hold. So I am not looking for any crash at all whatsoever. This is a very healthy looking market in a pullback. Now, don't forget, this is fiscal cliff number 2. This is sequester nonsense. I'm going to show you what that means shortly. But this is sequester nonsense. They did this same nonsense to us in the beginning of the year. Do you want to see? Look right here. Here's the fiscal cliff. And then suddenly they came up with, oh, we're done. Fiscal cliff is over. And boom, we explode. How come right after putting in new highs, the fiscal cliff nonsense starts? We hit the bottom of the channel and away we go. Well, here we are now. We have not the fiscal cliff, but the kick the can down the road cliff, so to speak, the sequester cliff. And they're starting it already, and that's what I see. But let's look at the charts and read them for what they are. For now, that's a very bullish-looking chart in a bull flag and in a secondary parallel bullish channel. I am not bearish this market, not for a moment. Well, let me rephrase that. Bearish for a quick Couple of days down and right back into the swing. Remember, this is a weekly. Back to the daily. Let's see if we can hold this spot, and let's move on to the next chart. Here's your S&P. Started off once again with this massive inverted head and shoulders, which is a bullish signal. The bull does come out of it, and you have a big rally, and there has been a very nice larger parallel channel that has developed. But there's a smaller channel inside the larger one, which we're going to look at now. When you look at this, we've only come out for 1 day. That's it, 1 day. Remember, let's get this bigger channel out of the way for a moment. We've only come out of this channel for 1 day. This market has not been known for having lots of down days lately. You don't get a lot of them in a row. So we just got out of that channel. Now we need to sit back and see, is the channel shifting a little? Is it just doing this? And are we okay? Is that just what's going on here? Because that looks pretty good to me. And then that takes us here, which allows NASDAQ to fill its gap and makes S&P hit some nice support. And it's only 2 down days out of weeks of going up. So you're not supposed to go crazy here on the downside, traders. If you've been following OMNI as long as some of you I know have, which some of you have been here for years now, you will recognize that OMNI's pretty good at making these short-term calls inside of these channels. Of course, we have our losing days. Yesterday was one of them, right? We're not perfect, but we're pretty good at staying inside of channels and staying steadfast, not listening to the newspapers, not reading some of the stuff in my chat room where people are bearish for weeks on end and then finally they get a bearish day and start jumping up and down. You know, we let the charts tell us what's coming next. We don't impose ever what we'd like to see on charts. So if you look at it that way, you've come out of the channel for a day. That's it. 1 day. Did it expand? Maybe, because this is that exact parallel expanded. It's exactly the same channel, now catching the lows. Big deal. Maybe we'll hit the bottom of it today. But there is the fiscal cliff to worry about, and we'll get to that. The sequester, this may be just another Washington play. I'm not paranoid by any means, and I don't think there's any conspiracies. But the last fiscal cliff worked out really well if you were a trading politician. We'll go over that with the charts shortly. Let's go look at the weekly. Okay, traders, you've seen this many times. Repetitive patterns are the cornerstones of accurate technical analysis. I have been showing you this chart for about 5 years, maybe 4 years now. And it has just reproduced over and over again what should happen. And these channels are slightly longer than this one, so I'm expecting that we stay in it and still move higher. But look at the V bottom, 2009. Goes into a major parallel channel. Falls out of the channel into a V bottom, major parallel channel. Falls out of the channel, makes a V bottom, major parallel channel. This is year after year. Comes out of the channel, V bottom, parallel channel, V bottom, parallel channel. But look at how much tighter they're getting and looking to move up faster. So it's starting to heat up now. And what it's showing you is that this is now becoming more rapid of a move than the whole thing. Because look at, if you had to sort of put a parallel channel on the whole thing, it's much longer. But this new parallel channel is getting steeper. If I actually put it on the chart itself, you'll see how steep it's getting. Look, it's getting steeper. That's good. So long-term view, this is the ES Weekly, there is nothing to worry about. Maybe we'll get the sequester pullback like we had the fiscal cliff pullback, but we're not really looking for any sort of a crash or change of trend for any permanent amount of time. So S&P and NASDAQ look like that. Let's go look at the Dow. Here's your Dow Daily. Once again, should we be selling this or should we be patient to see if maybe, just maybe, there's not much going on here and we need to be careful because we know that this is a big bull flag and you're just grazing the bottom of it. And when you grazed the top of it up here, you aren't supposed to be a buyer. Now that you're grazing the bottom of it, maybe you're not supposed to be a seller. So today is absolutely a day that you want to sit back and observe a bit and see what's going on here. So, you know, we're not looking terrible here, traders, even on dailies. That's a daily. That's not looking terrible. NASDAQ, we know, is all wrapped up in Apple, and Apple is down to the 444 area now. So that's why NASDAQ is really falling out of this bull channel a little, but I don't think that's what the real market is. I think that's NASDAQ being pulled by Apple. Let's look at the real market, the Dow. So there's your daily, and it is absolutely a spot where you're certainly not, if you're a bull, you're not selling, right? Any bull in a bull market is not selling that spot right there. You're going to at least wait and see what happens. And we go out to the weekly. This looks wonderful, traders. This weekly just looks fantastic. Let's leave this alone for now because I'm going to come back to this weekly a little bit later, and I'm going to show you why this is nothing more than a sequester move like the fiscal cliff and not a turnaround for our markets. Let's move to another chart. Inverted head and shoulders in your leader, the Dow Jones Transportation Average Daily Bar. You get the inverted head and shoulders and it produces. Big, big rally to another inverted head and shoulders. Traders, you must remember this. I pointed this out to you 10 days ago. And the rally comes. Here is what I find interesting. Let's take a bigger look at this. We're moving along, coming out of our, the 2009 crash, and we've been moving along ever since. Then we put in this, and what happens right here? We put in new highs for the year. And right after that, the fiscal cliff nonsense begins. Right here. And what happens? On the day of the announcement deadline, right? In the 11th hour, what happens now? Boom, you hit the low and take off. The fiscal cliff. We have an inverted head and shoulders. We put in a new high for the year. And then a few days before the fiscal cliff, it backs off. Here we are, inverted shoulders. We put in a new high for the year. And now we're getting the sequester cliff. Is it not the same, traders? This is total BS. Here we are, looking good. I think that this is just a minor pullback, and it is because of the fiscal cliff. It's the sequester nonsense. What's the difference? Here's what it's going to look like in a few days. We're going to buy right into this crap, just like we were supposed to do right here. Now, is the channel here going to simply expand a little? I guess we'll find out shortly. Maybe that's all that is happening here. Maybe it's this. I'm not going to do it yet until the market tells me that's what it is, but maybe it's simply this. The channel needs to expand a little as it goes higher, but let's not do that for now. Let's leave the channel the way it was, and let's let the market tell us what the deal is. But I am not so worried, especially when I look at a market like this. It's only one day. I'll start to worry if we end up down here somewhere. That will get troublesome. So that is your daily. Let's go look at the weekly. This is an interesting chart. This is the leader, the Dow Jones Transportation Average weekly bar chart. I have shown this to you for months on end and have professed that we are in a huge inverted head and shoulders. Huge, the three blue rings. 1, 2, 3. We are in a huge inverted head and shoulders, very bullish signal. There are smaller inverted head and shoulders throughout this entire move, and now we're starting to go. This is the projection. Insane as it might look, this is the projection for the transportation average off of this move. I have done this projection weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Many of you have seen this chart before. That is the projection. Let's see if that turns out to be true. Now, do I expect it to go straight up? Of course not. Nothing does. But there's nothing right now telling you that this market's going to back off very far. Not yet. I do see that there's an outside weak forming right here. And I'm not blind, but I also know that there's a kick the can fiscal cliff turn into sequester meeting happening or deadline happening in a few days. So that sort of does make sense to me. So we're going to have to see what they're going to do. I think the markets will hold no matter what happens. Fiscal cliff, sequester, you name it, the market holds anyway. But it will have a pullback like it did for the fiscal cliff. Let's move along. This is a very interesting market. This is your DAX, the German DAX, on the weekly bar chart. This line goes back to 2009. That's a very nice trend line. This one goes back to the highs of 2007. That's an even better trend line. We got above it. It was perfect. Got above it in the form of a bull flag, pointed out to you guys in a video at some point, and we're just kissing the bottom of the parallel channel right here. That is not a panic sign by any means. Not yet. Not for me. Right? We would not be panicking. And then when you step this out a little bit, You can certainly say weird looking, yes, but inverted head and shoulders here as well, which did its job and gave us a nice fat rally so far. I don't think the rally's over yet. I think it's got a huge projection on the upside. Some pullback. Maybe you come back to this line, big support line, and then go from there. We'll see. We'll take it one day at a time. But that's your DAX, and that looks pretty darn good, traders. Now we start looking at the fear factor markets. This is bonds. This is a big parallel channel bonds have been steeped in, making bear flags represented by these white poles and these white parallel channels all the way down. And here we are in another bear flag. So it's got out of here one day so far. That sounds exactly like the S&P. That sounds exactly like the other markets. They're all testing their channels right now. If they're all testing their channels right now, it really does make perfect sense that there's the fundamental reason out there, the sequester cliff. Let's see what that means. But here are your bonds on the daily. And, you know, this is a bear flag. It's another one. We haven't hit the top of it yet. You can go all the way here and just be hitting the top of the flag. So, that is what's going on right now in the bonds, and you can't go crazy gangbusters bullish in bonds till you take out the flag and really start moving higher. Traders, another chart I have shown you for quite some time now. I drew this chart up weeks and weeks ago before we even came down into this circle and basically said I think what's happening here is it's a big topping head and shoulders in bonds on you weekly. And I drew this shoulder in. And I drew in these fake lines and said, we'll probably get some of this inside the shoulder. I don't know exactly where, but it'll jerk around in the shoulder. And then we'll finally crack. And the projection on this crack is rather large. So that's what I'm expecting in bonds. That's a weekly in bonds. The daily is hitting resistance. The weekly is bouncing off this support trend line right now. So bonds, you know, a little bit of a fight. And boy, does that make perfect sense with the sequester cliff being around the corner. So, you know, we're basically at a crossroads right now. Until the sequester is out of our hair, I don't know that we have a green light any further to just be long gangbusters S&P and expect downside in bonds. So your bonds could hold here, but closer, you're also building a bear flag in your weekly on the bonds, right? You can see the pole right here. And then, of course, you drop the flag in, and there is a bear flag here. So you need to be careful how you want to call these bonds. On the weekly, luckily, you don't use that for your trading. You just use it for direction. And we use our daily for trading. The weekly says, you know, I don't expect to hold here for very long, but let's, you know, we'll stay with our daily and we'll do our thing. So there are your bonds. Now another fear factor market would be gold. Look at this. When Omni started to recognize we were at top, it was up here. Literally up here, we came down to about here, and then somewhere about here, Omni started calling this thing official. I think around here. Omni started making official call for the top in bonds. Official call for the top in gold. And look at what has happened since. We've put in a series of inverted head and shoulders and upright head and shoulders, and boy, have we come down. Then we get under the 200 bar moving average and create a bear flag, and look at what happens. We break the major channel. Now we're coming back up. I got this blue little line in here because it shows you the last few lows. Maybe it'll not even get past that. I don't know. But gold, Omni has talked about gold, the highs being in for quite some time, and so far, that's what we've seen. The projection on this head and shoulders was dead on, even further than it should have gone. Same thing with this one. You know, this has been working out really well. Now we're below this channel. So Omni calling the high in bonds was a real heads-up call. Omni calling the high in gold was a real heads-up call. I'm saying bonds when I'm thinking gold because it called the high around the same time. In bonds and gold because they're both fear factor markets. So here's your daily in gold. And if you own gold, you know, sell the rallies. Don't buy the dips any longer. Here's your weekly. Look closely at this weekly chart. You were in a major bull market since 2009. 2009. But you have since broken this parallel channel. You are out of the channel. A new channel now existed or is beginning to form. You got below that channel. You got down here. You know, you got some big downside coming. That's your weekly in gold. This is not a big bull flag. If you're looking at it that way, wrong. This was your major support and upward parallel channel or direction. It has been violated massively. So now you got to start thinking that gold, even though you got the sequester thing going on, so maybe gold rallies a little bit, but you got to think that gold at least comes down to here. So that's your daily and your weekly in gold. Wait until you see silver. When you look at silver, you got to recognize it's turned into a bear. I mean, you have to see it. It has turned into a bear. For you silver bugs that are holding silver, forget it. It has turned into a bear market. It starts at the top left side of my screen and just continues and continues and continues in that direction. Not bullish. Silver has never been anything more than a spec market which tried to stay with gold because gold went up and silver went up in sympathy. It is useless. It is wasteful. There is more of it on the planet than we need, and Kodak doesn't even use it for film anymore. There's nothing in that market but speculation, and for speculation, it's going down. So that's what I'm seeing in the silver. Look at the weekly. Weekly, even more horrible. Look at this. First of all, you had this pennant apex sort of formation. Broke out of it. Came back to test it. This is the red line. Came back to test it on the weekly and failed in the form of a bear flag, by the way. Came down to this new parallel channel, which coincides with the entire top of the market. Exact parallel with the top of the market. We're in it now. That's silver. Silver, silver on the weekly. So if you ask me, silver's back is broken and it needs to come down here. I think a lot of money gets made in silver this year. That's where silver probably will end up. Nothing goes straight down, but that is what we're looking at when you look at the weekly in silver. Switching over to some other interesting markets. Look at the corn. Boy, oh boy, do we have opportunity in this corn market. Look at this. Big bear market, big bear parallel channel, breaks the 200 bar and makes a bear flag. Guess where corn goes? Anybody in the chat room want to guess where corn goes next? Come on, guys. Let's see what you got for me. Let's hear some guesses. Where do you think we go? Bear flag, under the 200, coming down from a big, big parallel channel. The channel comes all the way down here. Do you think we're going up or down, traders? Come on now. Let's see what you got. Absolutely, right? I mean, it has to go down. Well, nothing has to go down because we know that analysis doesn't always work, but that's some pretty good proof. So watch your corn because corn looks like it's going down. Now wait until you see this chart. You're going to love this one. Look at this soybean chart. We had the flat top. Same week that we had the flat top in the S&P, by the way. It worked really well in your soybeans. This is a daily bar and created yet another head and shoulders. So shoulder, head, shoulder, breaks down. Then it goes into a shoulder, head, shoulder, but rallies up. But makes another shoulder, head, shoulder. And is now challenging the top of this parallel line. Once again, channels expand. So is this just expanding? Maybe the head test, it's coming into play. Is the channel just slightly expanding a little? Maybe. Again, I don't like to do that until the market shows me that that is what happened. But if you look at this a little closer, you see what's going to happen here. Is you're probably just going to build another shoulder right here. Because it would make sense right now. I mean, it just makes perfect sense that this upright head and shoulders would lend itself to this inverted. So we need to be careful here. Let's keep our eyes peeled on it. But I don't know that the soybeans are going anywhere right now. They've had a nice little rally, but they are at the top of this channel, and they are steeped in these head and shoulders. But we are above the 200 bar moving average right now, right? We are above it. So beans, you're not categorizing as bearish yet. Not until it fails right here, and then we'll get bearish again, if it does fail here. And if not, so be it. Not every market goes down, right? Switching to the weekly soybeans. What do you see here? Huge head and shoulders, which should be bearish in the end, because this is a bearish style head and shoulders. And you're only in the middle, middle to the top of the right shoulder right now. So on your weekly in soybeans, nothing really telling you that it wants to get more bullish yet. So, soybeans, you're bullish for now and very cautious because of what I showed you on the daily. Then there's the wheat. Here's the trade that some of you lost your minds with me in the chat room the other day. But this was where I was trying to get us short if we possibly could have because it was the perfect spot. Bear flag right into the top of the parallel channel. You could not have asked for a better short in wheat. And look where we are now, but it's only day one out of the flag. You have plenty of time to catch this trade. Week one out of the flag. Well, it's a daily, right? Day one out of the flag. We have plenty of time to catch this trade, and it looks like now that you've taken out the lows, down you go, right? We'll get to the bottom of this channel without much trouble. Just made a new low as we speak. Without much trouble, we should get to the bottom of this channel, and that is where your wheat's going to end up. Traders, let's round this off with what we started this with. Here is exactly what happened the week leading into the fiscal cliff. And here is what we're getting now the week leading into the sequester, which is another fiscal cliff. I think it's the same exact bull crap that we seen last time. If you ask me, that's all that's going on here. It's the same crap as we seen last time. Remembering that the larger picture is this huge inverted head and shoulders, and I don't think it's wrong. Huge, huge inverted head and shoulders. So let's let this thing play itself out before we decide that it's gone bearish because the S&P's gone down for 2 days. Traders, that is what I wanted to show you. Thank you so much for coming to today's class. I hope this class helps to keep you in tune with the markets and where they should be going. Remember, we are at a special spot right now. You really got to be on the sidelines for a day and see what's going on. Thank you once again so much, and I will see you back in the chat rooms. Remember, at all times, traders, keep your emotions out of this game. Stops are in. Emotions are out. Thank you so much. Futures trading is risky and can cause substantial financial loss. We do not claim or guarantee that you will profit from the information provided.